Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Hey ladies, I'm so excited to get this call started. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kimberly Wilson and I'm a diamond coach on the Elite Empire. I'm so excited for this Zoom call and to introduce Cara. Cara is the author and master life coach from New York City who encourages women to create a champagne life that entails celebrating themselves every day and making their happiness a priority. Cara has helped her clients pursue their passions and develop the confidence to get to where they deserve in their careers and their lives. Cara, I'm so grateful that you took the time out of your crazy schedule to talk to our team. We appreciate it very much. Thank you. Please share a little bit about your story. Tell us about yourself.
Sure. So, hi, Kim and everyone. Thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here tonight. So my name is Cara. Some of you may have seen me around Instagram or social media. I have a blog called The Champagne Diet. I am a life coach, a master life coach, 4-time author, and I basically just work with women who want to improve their lives, who want to feel good about themselves, who want to raise their confidence, who want to learn how to love the skin they're in, celebrate every part of themselves, their lives, their bodies, just really essentially feel good. I started a blog 7.5 years ago now, called The Champagne Diet. And that's where this whole sort of concept came from. And I started it really just to kind of chronicle my own journey of transformation and self-love. And it really was inspired by essentially a glass of champagne, which unfortunately I don't have tonight, but I have my sparkling water in a little wine glass. But yeah, it was really just a metaphor for living your best life, for living effervescently. I was looking for a drink that I could drink while I was, on a fitness and health kind of plan. And I came across champagne because it only has 100 calories in a glass. And I thought that, well, this is like the perfect thing that you can drink. It's like this sexy, glamorous, thing. And it's not going to break the bank when it comes to dieting. And it just became so much more than a healthy drink for me. It just became really, like I said, the metaphor for my life. And I loved the connection that I was forming with my readers on my blog. And I wanted to take that to the next level. And I wanted to figure out a way to make it a career. And that's when I went to coaching school, and everything has just kind of like exploded from there.
Very cool. So could you tell us what inspired you to write Girl Code?
Yeah, so I have been a full-time entrepreneur for a little over a year now. I worked for MTV for 8 years. And during that entire time that I was at MTV, I was building my brand. And when I finally got to the point where I had could walk away from MTV and pursue the Champagne Diet full time, I got really in the entrepreneurial world, specifically, among other women. And I started just seeing a lot of stuff going on that I didn't like. There was a lot of competition. There was a lot of negativity. There was a lot of crap talking. And I was like, this is crazy, because I never lived my life like that. I was never the girl that felt like she had to compete with everybody else. Kind of always just marched to the beat of my own drum. And I saw so much crap happening outside of my world. And I felt like, I wanted to share my strategies that worked for me in building my business. And essentially just being happy and successful. And I feel like happiness and success are so intertwined. You could be making millions of dollars a year, but if you're miserable and you're competing with people every single day, you're never going to feel fulfilled. So the book was really inspired by, again, my own personal experiences. I've got interviews. If anyone's read it, you'll see there's 10 interviews in the book with other successful female entrepreneurs who also kind of live by those same rules. And I really just wanted it to be a guidebook for women to feel good about themselves and feel good about their businesses and support one another.
Aww. I loved your book, by the way. As Beachbody coaches, our businesses are built on teamwork and helping each other, building each other up. What Girl Code advice do you have for our coaches? What do you think is important for us to keep in mind?
So one of the first real strong points that I like to hit in the book is don't compete, collaborate. So, there's so much isolation that's involved in being a female entrepreneur. Even if you are working a full-time job, you probably feel very alone there because you're probably the only one that's kind of hustling on the side to build your business. And then once you get into your business full-time, it's more isolation because your friends don't really get what you're doing. So rather than isolate yourself further and kind of set up competition and keep away from other women in business, start joining forces with them. Even if you do the same thing they do, no one's going to do it the way that you do it. No one's going to speak your language. No one's going to have, your voice, your style, your flair. So find people who are doing things that you like and you admire and team up with them. Ask them to go for a cup of coffee or a glass of wine. Think about putting on an event together. Some of the best experiences I've had in my career have come from collaboration. So that's one huge point. I think another thing that I like to tell people to do is kind of, you might have read this in the book, Kim, like come from this space of limitless lux. And what I mean by that is imagine that everything's possible for yourself. You know, if you go into business and you start telling yourself, I'm never going to hit this rank, I'm never going to make this amount of money, I'm never going to be able to leave my full-time job, you will not do any of those things. You have to truly believe that everything's possible for yourself. You have to have like this crazy, grand, insane vision that you're like, you don't even want to tell other people because they'll think you're so freaking crazy. Like it's got to be so big and so wild that, you know, it becomes something that you work towards every single day. So visualize success. Those are like the two main things that I think are so essential when you're in business for yourself.
Awesome. We're all women that are going through lifestyle changes, and at times we hear negative comments from others who don't believe in us. What advice do you have for not letting all that affect us? Like, how do you deal with the haters?
So sometimes you can't get rid of haters because they're people that are just in your life, or there's just noise around you. Social media is a huge breeding ground for them. Sometimes they come from your family or your friends that have just sort of been around for a while. I always say just fill your life with more and more positive people. So rather than stress yourself out about like, how am I going to get my mom to stop disagreeing with everything I do? Or how am I going to control my comments on social media? Just screw it, fuck it, let it go, and surround yourself with more people that support you and that love you. So focus on bringing people in that tell you you can do things. Focus on surrounding yourself with people who want to hear about your big, crazy ideas. And just make sure that that's part of your everyday.
It's like really easy to compare yourself to others. Like women tend to compare their bodies, their lives, their weight. What advice do you have to help us just love the skin we're in and to help our clients focus on how to be beautiful at any size that they are?
Yeah, so this is huge. I think my journey with fitness and health has been, you know, I can totally relate to the business that you guys are in because I've lived it. I've been, 20 pounds heavier, 40 pounds heavier, 20 pounds lighter, like all over the place. I've been super motivated at times. Other times I haven't been, and this goes for all my clients as well. You have to come from a place of self-love in order to make any positive changes in your life, especially when it comes to weight and fitness. Like you cannot start a new diet or a fitness program if you're staring at your body in the mirror and you're saying, I hate my thighs, oh my God, like I'm never gonna have abs, like I look like shit, I feel like shit. So I recently started following a lot of women that inspire me that are not like your typical fitness model types. They're curvier girls, plus size models. I think I've done a couple Instagram posts on them. Girls that just own it, that love themselves. Hunter McGrady's one of them. Ashley Graham is another one. Like just gorgeous women who are super fit. They all work out, but they're not your typical like skinny girl because that's not my body type and that may never be. So I love following, positive forces, positive women out there who do walk their walk. I think another thing to do is just kind of focus on all the things that you love about yourself. So rather than sit there and say, oh my God, I hate my arms, say, hey, I've got a great ass. I love my ass. I'm going to focus on this and I'm going to play it up and I'm going to wear these awesome like yoga pants that make it look really hot. So yeah.
Love that. So our business is filled with a lot of ups and downs. Do you ever get in a slump or in a mood where you just like doubt yourself, and how do you get out of that?
Yes, all the time. Believe it or not, I always tell people I'm not superhuman. I'm not polypositive all the time. And it does happen. It's part of life. Like that time of the month, you're PMSing. You feel like the world's falling down. Like we all go through it. You get bored. You're doing the same thing day in and day out. I think the best thing to do for me, at least, is just to take a break. So I literally will, like just today, actually, I was kind of having like a day where I wasn't that motivated. And I had all these grand plans when I woke up. And I just parked myself in front of the TV and I watched the Kardashian marathon for like 4 hours with my dog. Was it productive? No. Did it clear my head and re-motivate me for this call and to work, for the rest of the night and do what I need to do? Yes. So, there's a quote that I love and I found it on Pinterest once, and it says, taking time away from your work will only inspire your work. So just keep it moving, do what you need to do, recharge yourself, and then come back to it.
What's your morning routine like? Like, what do you do in the morning?
So the first thing that I do is a gratitude ritual every morning. Before I even look at my phone, like before I'm even able to like touch it to look at the time, I try to think of 5 things that I'm grateful for. And I find that really kind of sets the tone for the day and it gets me in a really good space. And then I don't watch the news. I'm on like a very strict news diet. I have not watched the news in years. I find what I need to know on like, a quick glance at CNN or like my Facebook feed or whatever. I'll know if the world's like blowing up, I think. And I just focus on kind of like filling myself with positivity. So I put on music, I read a couple positive quotes, or I read an article that I bookmark that I want to read to get inspired, have my cup of coffee. And I just try to savor like at least 15 minutes in the morning, because I really think that the way that we start our day just kind of like dictates, our productivity and our success and our happiness. So yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I know you mentioned just recently one of your favorite quotes, but what is another one of your favorite quotes and why?
So they change all the time, depending on kind of what I'm going through. There's a quote that I love by Marilyn Monroe, of course, and she says, "I restore myself when I'm alone." And that has really been like my sort of guiding star. Like I actually wrote it in my phone, and I look at it a lot because I feel like in this business, we're constantly talking to people. We all have so many clients, so many people to care for and tend to, especially like my clients who have kids. I don't have kids, but they're constantly, being mom, like I have a husband. There's so many people around us that need our attention. So that quote, "I restore myself when I'm alone," really just kind of like reminds me to take a pause, to take a time out, even if it's 10 minutes, and just focus on myself.
Yeah, that's definitely needed sometimes to just like chill and take a minute, go for a walk, work out, whatever you do to make yourself rejuvenate. So I'm going to open this up to everybody else. So does anybody have any questions? What do I do? Just mute myself and then...
If anyone has a question, chat it and then I'll unmute you. Hold on a second. Let me open my chat. Or if you want to quick raise your hand, if I can see your face, I'll just see you. So anyone want to ask a question?
Katie does.
Katie? Okay, hold on. Hold on. I'm looking for you. Oh my God, why am I, okay, retarded tonight. Hold on. Katie. Go ahead, Katie.
All right, Cara, my question was, out of your books, which one is your favorite?
That's such a hard question. I don't know. Okay, I love Girl Code just because it's like what I'm living and breathing like right now in the moment. But somebody quoted something from Sparkle, which is my first book, the other day, and I started cracking up, and I was like, oh my God, that book is like, it was kind of funny. Like, and I actually like, I like the lightheartedness of that book. It's only like 4 years ago that I wrote it, but I feel like I was such a different person back then. So I kind of have like a soft spot for all of them in a sense. I think the Champagne Diet, I love because that book is really about what got me started on my journey, about learning how to love the skin that I'm in, learning how to love my body and come from a place of focusing on health over, being skinny and losing weight. So they all sort of hold a special place, I think, in my heart.
Katie, do you have another question?
I'm trying to look what I wrote down.
Well, I'm going to ask a question real quick. You touched on this already, but about getting into slumps, and Kim asked you about getting into slumps, but maybe you can go a little, I know you spoke about how you worked at MTV and that's when you started up, but I think our biggest struggle with everyone of our coaches and just in general as coaches is that people feel like, you don't want to compare, but sometimes people feel like that's not going to happen for me, right? Like, I'm never going to be that person. That person's too unattainable. I'm never going to live that life, even though we've all been there. So maybe can you just tell us about like when you first started and everything was just super normal in your life before it became so glamorous and beautiful, and just tell a little bit about like where you started and how it was just as normal as everybody else in here right now.
I think that I always knew like there was something for me. Like I always knew I wanted to be something and do something different than everybody else. Like even from like the time I was a little girl, like I always I would dress up in my grandmother's like boa and like her blonde wigs, and I would like make my grandfather like interview me and pretend I was on TV. I was always like a dreamer. And it's funny because everybody would like laugh and like my friends would make fun of me like, oh God, what is Cara up to now? But I always kind of had like this vision. And I think you have to have a vision constantly in your life. Like, even if there's no one else that you can tell in the world but yourself, and you think it in your head or you write it down somewhere, like, you've got to kind of visualize what you want to happen. And you can't be afraid of it. I think a lot of people are scared of success. Like, well, what happens if I reach this goal? Like, who am I going to turn into? Am I going to lose a part of myself? I know that that's something that I started to think about this year. Like my social media started to get really big this year, and there were like a lot of people kind of coming at me from every angle. And I thought like, I don't want to like lose who I am. I don't want to like lose touch. I don't want to like get into a space where I don't feel like normal anymore, So that's like a huge concern. I think you just have to constantly do things that ground yourself and, constantly know that like, you're doing things that make you happy, not things that you feel like you should be doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, no, you did. I like it. Jess, you have a question. So let me unmute you. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm really terrible at this tonight. Go ahead.
Hi. Okay. My question is, what book would you start out with first? The Girl Code or the Champagne Diet?
So I think that really depends on what you're going through in your life, what you feel like needs the most attention. I always tell people to read the blurb on the back because that kind of gives like, you know, an idea of, you know, what the book is about. But I would ask you, I'd put it back to you and say, like, what do you feel like is your biggest struggle right now
Staying focused
in your business?
in everything.
I think Girl Code's really good. Definitely. Fearless and Fabulous is also a good one because it talks all about fear. And I think fear is probably like the biggest reason we procrastinate and we kind of, you know, we lose focus because we get nervous and we get scared. So I think probably either one of those would be good. But Girl Code's really good if you want to get inspired in your business. I think it kind of gets you in a place where you feel like you can just like conquer the world after you read it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how me, Katie, and Kim are every single morning after we read it. We're like, oh, we're going to do this today.
Well, you know, I wanted to show like stories. That's why I have all those interviews because it's not just about me. It's about all of us, you know, like, and I feel like, well, if I can do it, you can do it. And if 10 other women do it, you guys can do it. So it's kind of like that whole sort of like supportive vibe that I try to get across in the book.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part for all of us to understand too, is that we're all the same and we all start off somewhere different, but ultimately we just all start off and no one gets anywhere without moving up and trying and being consistent. But Katie, you had a question, go.
Yes. So my other question was, like, what are your favorite personal development books or your favorite personal development authors?
So this is going to sound weird, but I don't really read a lot of personal development. And there's a reason for that. I don't like to get my own like thoughts and vision clouded with anything else. But I will tell you that I read The Secret, which is the law of attraction, all the time. I actually just bought a hard copy of it finally because it was on my Kindle, but it's something that I come back to constantly. I have The Secret Daily Teachings app on my phone, and every morning I read, you know, the little excerpt from there. But I really don't read a whole lot of personal development. Brene Brown is awesome, though. I will tell you, I've watched her TED Talks. I haven't read her books yet, but I think that what she stands for is awesome. She's got a TED Talk on vulnerability. So I would definitely check that out. And she talks all about how to be authentic in your business. And it's literally like everything that I have believed from day one and everything that I've implemented in my own business. And I feel like that definitely attributes to success, learning how to be yourself. So I think anyone who kind of is on that same page, I'm really inspired by.
Is there any apps that you suggest anybody using to help with their business or their time management or anything like that?
You know, I actually use an old school desk calendar, like for to keep myself on track. Like it's from Staples. I actually Instagrammed a picture of it the other day. It's like it like sits on my coffee table in my office. I need to see things written down. Yes, that's the same one. Exactly. I need to see it written down in like a big fat Sharpie. Like it's got to be in my face. So yeah, for time management, definitely a paper and pen kind of girl.
I can respect that. I get it. Trust me. I have little notes all over my house. Like, don't forget to like feed the kids. So,
oh yeah.
That one's hard to remember some days. But, is there anything that you think that we didn't ask you that you think we should know, like just from your point of view on, I know that you're very familiar with the Beachbody world. And so, you know, just as health coaches or fitness coaches in general, but also as business entrepreneurs and moms and wives and ladies and all that good stuff.
One of the things I think that's so important, and I actually coach a lot of Beachbody girls. A lot of my best clients have been Beachbody coaches. And the one thing that I always tell them to do is to make sure that aside from the workouts and the shakes, and I drink Shakeology and I love it, and I love the Beachbody brand, I think getting people in the right mindset, getting them in a self-love mindset, and, you know, getting them in a place where they feel like it's possible for themselves and it's not just about the weight. I know that's hard because you're measuring things in weight and inches and all that stuff, but getting them to recognize and celebrate the strides they're making in their life as they are on that journey is so important because there are going to be slip-ups. This is holiday season. People are going to fall off the wagon. I know this is kind of like the lull right now, trying to get people on board. In January, it's going to take off. But for now, just kind of get them in a space where they feel like they love who they are and they can celebrate all of the other things, all the other amazing things that come along with losing weight and getting fit. And there's so many of them. I think going down a couple sizes in jeans is just like an extra little byproduct of that, but focusing on the mental shift is huge. So yeah.
Well, you should be really, really proud then, because your book is the thing that we use to get them motivated and get their mindset. So if you were in my challenge groups right now, you'd actually see everyone following along to your book. And honestly, like I would tell you, I just had like the hardest challenge group ever. And I used your book as, instead of worrying about the weight, everything you just said, I implemented basically. And everyone was just, they were just in bad places in their lives and they needed it. And they totally changed. They said it was the best group they've ever been in. Everything changed about them. I actually have a text message from one of my clients yesterday thanking me for your book because they said it changed their whole life. So I just want to let you know that, because you don't get to tell people that sometimes. So it's good.
Thank you. The Champagne Diet book?
Yeah, because that's why I switched over from Girl Code. So I didn't actually finish Girl Code because I'm in the Champagne Diet finishing it up. But it was because I wanted to follow with them and, reintroduce myself to a lot of things you teach anyway. But honestly, she just texted me yesterday. She was in a really bad place when she started the group. And she said, I just want to thank you so much for introducing that book to me. It changed everything for me. And I know now that I can lose the weight because now my mentality is where it needs to be. And I'm happy that I folled along with the book part of it. So just so you know, everything you just said is what we use in our own group. So
and it makes a difference, right? I think and I'm like a walking, breathing example. Like I've gone through phases in my life where I've gained weight and I haven't felt confident and I let everything else go. And like the minute that I said, like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to put on my red lipstick. I'm going to wear my fur coat. I'm going to put on my heels. Like, even if I feel like a, bloated cow underneath it all, I'm gonna make myself feel glamorous in some way. And that's going to make me make a better choice and not have the 75 glasses of wine that night, or like not, well, I'll have like 2, or not like just like, eat the entire plate. You feel good, you look good. And I think that's such an important concept for women to keep in mind.
Yeah. Kim, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I was just going to ask about your personal websites and if you have any tips on how to build a quality page and a quality Instagram.
That's a really good question. I think in terms of, I'll touch on Instagram first. I think the first most important thing to remember is that you want to provide content to people, free, valuable content that will inspire people, especially in this business, every day. If it's a business Instagram, not a personal Instagram. Everybody should read the book Jab, 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 Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk. It's amazing. He talks about how social media is all about storytelling. So you've got to get people invested in your story, invested in you, but you can't make it like a meme show. There's a fine line between giving people inspiration and then showing them a little bit of you and then selling. Selling is what he calls the right hook. The jabs are all of the content that you're sharing with people. So if you look at my Instagram, I'm rarely on there saying, buy my book, do my programs. That's like an afterthought. I'm on there providing content for people so that they have a reason to come back and visit the page and feel good everyone in the world says to me, it feels like I'm getting a free life coach. And like so many of those girls actually do come and join my programs later on. So I think make sure that what you're giving people is valuable. I think in terms of a website, invest if you can. Definitely get something that looks professional. Invest in professional pictures if you can. Save up. Do it one by one, little by little. My site has come so far. I can actually show you guys a funny picture. I'll put it on your wall, Kim, of what my blog used to look like in like 2009. It was atrocious, but it's taken me so long to build it up, through the years of finding a designer, of picking colors, of, so be patient with yourself. It's not going to look perfect from day one, but just consistently move towards creating your own personal brand. I think especially in this business, that you guys are in, everyone's essentially doing the same thing, but no one's going to do it like you. No one's going to do it with your flair. So think about the things that make you unique. Think about the ideal client that you want to attract and make sure that your social media and your website is reflecting all of that.
So how did you feel when you first shared your story with people? How did you overcome your fear with just putting yourself out there for the world to judge you and to, hear you?
It wasn't really hard for me in the beginning because I felt like it was very therapeutic. It was very scary when I put the first book out there because I talk a lot about like my past relationship and I was just really nervous. Like is my ex-boyfriend going to call me up and like scream at me or like sue me or something? And he never has, thank God. But it's, you know, I feel like I just kind of, number one, I had to get that story out. Like I said, it was very therapeutic for me. And I think also knowing that it was going to hopefully inspire someone else pushed me to get past that fear. So, you know, if you don't do it for yourself, think about, you know, if I remember saying, like, there's one woman's life I can touch with this blog, like 7.5 years ago, I would be happy. And now it's like reached like thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people. So think about, you know, the impact that it'll have. And it could, you know, I mean, something you say could literally change someone's life. It could save their life. You know, it could potentially help someone get out of a terrible situation that they're in or inspire them to leave a job. Like, you don't know what the impact of sharing your story will have on someone. So focus on that.
Was there ever a time where you just felt like giving up? And if so, what made you not and just continue to go?
Yeah. So when I wrote my first book, I had a literary agent and I wanted to get the book published traditionally. So I wanted like to be with like a Simon & Schuster or like a HarperCollins or something. And I had an agent and she was fantastic. And she was one of the top agents in New York. And we really thought the book was going to sell. And it wound up getting rejected 19 times, like 19 the whole times. And it was really tough for me because I got to a point where I was like, am I not good enough? Like, she believes in me, but obviously like maybe I'm just not meant to be an author. And that was always my dream. My number one dream was to write books. So I had to take a step back and just, you know, believe in myself and look at my following and look at the people that did believe in me and shift the focus and say, you know, I've got to do this. So that was a time that was definitely a crossroads. And I was like, you know, maybe I should just stay at MTV. And I was a director at the time. Like, maybe I'll just go for a VP title and, you know, stay here and, you know, with this cushy salary and all this stuff and just make it a hobby. But something just clicked in me and I was like, I don't want that to be my story. I don't want to be normal. That was always my thing. I don't want to be normal. So I had to really, you know, pull myself out of there and kind of like go really deep within myself to stay motivated and stay focused and come up with a way to do it. And I wound up self-publishing and now I've self-published my 4th book. So just, I think, stay focused.
That's amazing.
I just want to say that real quick, a few things that you said, I really just wanted to like retouch on because I thought they were awesome. So I love what you said about Instagram because I think it's so important that people really understand what you just said and like take a look at your Instagram tonight because I absolutely love your Instagram. And even just looking at yours and I look at it, like I do the thing where I look at all these Beachbody coaches and I see what I like and I don't like and I constantly tell my coaches to do the same. So like if you look through all of my Instagram, like I literally have just revamped my whole image. It's like completely different from last month and I'm in love with what I'm doing now. But when I get my time hops, I see what I did wrong like a year ago and I'm just like, how did people like stay with me? Like, why would they join me? I sounded so stupid or whatever. But I think it's important, like you said, to brand yourself and not brand us as Beachbody coaches. And that's something I said this morning. But also I love what you said about therapy, it being your therapy, because I feel like a lot of people are afraid to share their story. And I personally don't think I ever went through that phase. Sometimes my parents make fun of me or like people make fun of me for the things I post. But honestly, like I know that it saves my life to tell my story because when people relate to me, you know, I'm able to like talk about what my struggles were. So I definitely love those 2 things that you said. So I really appreciate what you said. And I just wanted to re-say it so everyone understands how important that was of what you said. But that's what I had to say, Kim.
Yeah, and also just to that point. No, to that point, I think that, you know, I actually do, if you look at my Instagram, everything I post is what I'm currently going through for the most part. It's like my little diary. So if I'm posting something that's inspiring, I'm posting that because I need to hear it just as much as my followers need to hear it. It's literally like my daily diary. So if you're lacking inspiration, not you, but anyone on the call is lacking inspiration, you're like, I don't know what to post what you want to hear. You know, the quote, create things you wish existed, create something you would want to see every single day.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think that's the for me, that's what I would do. Like when I'm going through something, I post about it and I share my knowledge of what I don't have the knowledge, but what I feel is my knowledge or my gift to offer. And that's where you get the best feedback from people because sometimes someone just needed to hear that and you don't know who's looking for that. So I think it's really important that you said that because it's really, like you said, you can save someone's life. You just don't know what people are going through ever. And it could be something so little or something so big, but touching on that might bring them back to life just because you had the courage to say it. And I tell all my new coaches when they start, like, you don't think you have a story yet, but you do. So just think about what your story is. I have a million stories, but there's like 2 or 3 stories that I know is what made me. where I am. So that's what you need to do, I think. Do you have a story, like a set story that you can say that you just said, this was it, this is the time, this is my thing, this is what I'm going to share with the world? What would that be for you?
Yeah, well, it was like before, when I started the blog, really, that was the story that I had. I was working for MTV. I had just started there, and I was, I had gained weight. I was in a really bad relationship, and I was just miserable. I was lacking motivation. I was lacking passion. I didn't really know who I was anymore. And that relationship I was in for 7 years played a big role in my just self-destructiveness. I did not love myself. I was not confident. I was with someone who was very manipulative and very controlling, and I let that take me over. And when I started to come out of that relationship, and when I started to eat healthier, and when I discovered champagne, literally, that's why I say a glass of champagne like truly changed my life, saved my life, essentially. That's when I started to realize, like, I'm worth it. I want to celebrate myself. I want to love myself. And these are the things I need to let go in order to make that happen. And I wish that I had saved all those blogs. I ported my blog over. It's like another server, and I lost so many of them. But, some of that writing was so raw, and it was just exactly what I was going through at the time. And, I would never have a million years have guessed that, hitting publish on that first post would bring me to where I am today. And who knows where I'll be in like 5 years from now. But I think that's definitely kind of what kicked it all off for me. So, what is that saying? I turned my mess into a message. I truly did. It was a mess. It was a freaking horrible mess for a really long time. But I was able to, find some little, and the reason why my first book is called Sparkle is because my best friend said to me, I feel like you have the sparkle in your eye is back, and she knew me before I was in that relationship and before all that stuff happened. So that's why I named the book Sparkle, because I felt like that was a little part of myself that was coming back to life, and it sort of has taken me through to now, and it just continues to evolve and inspire me every day.
Yeah, that's super important. I love that.
So besides watching the Kardashians, what else do you do to alleviate stress? Like, I know that you do SoulCycle, and that's like, a big thing for you, but what else do you do just to like decompress and get rid of all the extra stress?
Shopping. I love to shop. I love to take a bath. Like, I take a lavender bubble bath. I'm like huge into lavender lately. Like this year, it's been like my thing. I just get like the essential oil from Whole Foods or whatever. And I sit in the bath, and I'm not really good at taking baths because I'm like so go. So it's like 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, am I done? But it does help for sure. I love to travel, and I think that's, even though it's work for most of the parks, I'll always find a reason to work when I'm traveling, but it does kind of open my mind up and help me just get away from like the daily grind. And SoulCycle, really, that's like my other, like you mentioned it, but that's just has completely changed my life for the better and become my little escape, my therapy, just everything to me. So,
Anna, do you have a question? Yeah? Okay, because I see this thing that says lower hand, and I've never seen that before, so I'm so confused. Hold on. I am obviously not a Zoom person here. Hold on. Go ahead, Anna.
Hi, guys. Okay, so I was really excited about this call, and I didn't think I was going to make it because I had parent-teacher conference. So I Zoomed all over that school to get to this call. I was on the phone on my way here, and then I Zoomed in when I got home. And prior, because I didn't think I was going to make it, I was listening to, I don't know, somebody, I think in this group posted a link to a prior call that you had done. And you had said in that call to let go of what you don't want and focus on what you want as part of creating a vision. Okay, so did you mean to let go of what you don't want as far as mentally, as opposed to, physically? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, are you saying, because I think in the sense that you were talking about was, don't think of, I don't want to work at this, I don't want this job and I don't want this. Are you saying let go of it mentally?
I think in every way. I'm not sure the specific, like what I was referring to, but I will tell you that you need to let go of any thought that doesn't serve you, any situation that doesn't serve you, any relationship that doesn't serve you. I'm a big fan of just letting it go. It's very difficult to do. I know it's easier said than done depending on the situation that you're in, but you've got to eliminate whatever is blocking you. And in the situation with my job, that was a big thing that was blocking me and holding me back. I think that might've been what I was talking about on that call. It was draining me, and I knew it was like that one missing link. And I knew when I walked away and I let it go, the floodgates were going to open, and they did. So if there is something in your life that you feel like is holding you back, I think first mentally you have to get there, because you can't let something go physically until you can kind of do it in your mind and believe that it's possible. And then whatever that is, you've just got to be able to move on from it and know that something better is waiting for you. Does that kind of answer your question?
No, absolutely. And I totally get what you're saying. So thank you for that. And I have another question, as far as, I guess, more of like an advice type of thing, because Angela's my coach, and she knows that I have just a passion for this whole business. I've only been a coach since May, but it's all I think about and dream about. And I just wish I could just leave my job like tomorrow and just do this full time, because I know what I could do with it if I could, but I can't right now. But how do you prioritize? Because time is so valuable in both the business and life, and, you know, with kids and working full time and wanting to put as much as I want to in this business, but then, you know, then there's the husband, and there's so much that I think is priority, but how do you prioritize it?
You've got to look at your every single day and make a list. This is one thing that I did. I would make a list every day of what I wanted to get done in my business. And I would literally like number them like 1 through whatever 5 by priority. And I would say, okay, number 1, this absolutely has to get done today, and I'm going to figure out how to get it done. And sometimes I could get all 5 things done. Sometimes I could get like half of something done. But just literally taking that piece of paper and putting numbers next to it was like huge for me. It really, really helped me so much. I know exactly what you're going through. Another thing I will say is just be patient. It took me 7 years to be able to walk away from MTV. I built the brand for 7 years before I could leave. So it took me a really long time, and I did it the right way. The last year was the most painful because I thought I was going to leave in 2013, but I actually wound up waiting until 2014, and it was torturous. But just be patient with yourself, and I think understand that you're not going to get it all done. And if you don't get it all done, that's okay. There's always tomorrow. You know, you're on nobody's timeline but your own. So I would focus on making sure that everything else in your life feels good and feels balanced, and that you're being a good mom and a good wife and a good employee. Because if anything else is kind of slipping and you're not giving it attention, even if you're focusing on your business, you're not going to feel good about it. You know, you only know how to balance your own life. So, you know, do what you can with what you have for now, and just be gentle with yourself, because it takes a really, really long time, I think, to get to the place where you feel like you can manage it all. I still can't manage it all. I try.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Besides Shakeology, what Beachbody programs have you done? Just out of curiosity, you know.
Okay, I tried the refresh. That didn't work. Just being honest. It was good. I didn't even mind the shakes. It was tough for me.
The fiber sweep isn't that amazing, no.
I just love the Beachbody. I haven't done the one with like the colors or whatever. I'm trying that. What is that, 21 Day Fix or something?
Yeah.
And then the videos, what did I do? I got the on demand, and I started doing, I think, autumn Calabrese. It was hard. I like couldn't get through 10 minutes. I was like, oh, just gonna not finish this. But yeah, I'm a huge believer in them. My friend actually, oddly enough, I met her. My husband works with her, and she is a dancer. She's not a Beachbody coach, but she's like a master trainer. She just danced in the Size video. She's like friends with Shanti. And we had like a whole conversation about it. And I was watching the infomercial with my husband the other night at like 1:00 in the morning. I was like, I'm totally getting Size. It looks like so much fun.
You know, it's so funny because I just watched it with my husband in bed at 8 a.m. the other day. And then I got up and actually did it. And I tried to get him to do it because he's all like, I'm going to do this. And he didn't do it. But
so did mine.
My kids did it. They loved it. But you would be surprised because Size actually leaves you in a lot of pain. Right, Katie? She didn't work out for like 4 days this week because she did Size one day. And I had to push through after that morning of infomercials because I was like, all right, enough watching. I should do it. But it's funny because, you know, saying that you watch the infomercials, like my husband does that. He doesn't believe that that's true, but you know a person in the video.
Oh, they work.
Yeah, we all know people like that. I have a coach that actually was in the PIO one, and she is going for all this PIO stuff. So it's all real life people, right? But it's funny when you're on the other side of it and you're just like,
Well, Alexis, the girl who danced in the size video, she followed the program. They gave her like a nutrition program. Like she did the whole thing and she lost 40 pounds. She looks awesome.
That's what people don't believe unless you're actually in the actual business and you look into it, is that people need to do the test group for real. Like they're not just saying, oh, I did them. Like the coaches are actually doing them. So is your coach like a good friend of yours, or?
I don't have a coach right now because it like, I know. I forgot the last time I did Shakeology was like, I have like an order that I'm like still like kind of living off of. But I have so many Beachbody coaches that I feel like it's like unfair to like stay with one. I don't want it to be like a conflict of interest.
That's so funny.
Specific coach right now.
That's actually really funny though, because someone out there right now got you as a lead, and that's pretty freaking cool.
So Cara, you mentioned before to be gentle with yourself and, you know, to prioritize, but how, I don't know, I'm the first one to say, I'm always like, I'm down on myself. If I don't accomplish exactly what I set out to for the day, like I'm always very hard on myself. Like, how do you stop that negative self-talk?
Okay, so something that I started doing this year that's been really helpful. So you know how we make a to-do list in the beginning of the day? I make a list at night of everything that I've accomplished. And I like dig for things. Like, it's not just like, oh, I, you know, worked out or I ate healthy. I go like item by item, and I'm like, oh, I responded to this email. I texted this girl back on this project. I shopped. I did this. I picked up something I needed. I got my work in it. Like, I make a list of everything that I accomplished, and guaranteed there's so much more on that list than you're giving yourself credit for. You've probably done so much more than you even think that you did, and you're getting hung up on what you didn't do. So again, like focusing on the positive and like celebrating what you did get done helps. You know, pour yourself a glass of wine, have a cup of tea, like get in a little space where you feel zen, light a candle, and make that list and celebrate it. Because, you know, we've got to start like focusing and realizing that we are doing way more than we give ourselves credit for.
That's true. Does anybody else have any questions?
Speak now or forever hold your peace. Oh, wait, hold on. Someone chatted.
No, that was just Katie.
She's just nobody. Don't worry about that.
It's a good habit to get into. I'm glad that you do it also. Do you find that it helps, Katie?
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I got to unmute her. I'm so bad at this tonight. I shouldn't have ran this. Hold on a second. Katie, go ahead. You're free to speak.
Yes, I have a gratitude journal next to my bed. So before I go to sleep, I write down the things that I'm grateful for, the things that I have accomplished, and then I make goals for the next day of what I want to accomplish, and I like keep it to 3 things. So like even if I go like way beyond that, those 3 most important things I have gotten done. So that's what I do, and I look at it in the morning. So yeah, I started that probably about a month ago. I love doing it.
That's awesome. One of the other things that I find is helpful to do too is to set an intention for the day. So I know when I wake up in the morning, okay, my intention for the day is to focus on my product line. And rather than getting caught up in like the little goals, at least I'm on track. And then I know, okay, my intention was to do this, and I accomplished like these 5 things on that, you know, out of that intention that I had set. So rather than getting so caught up, because sometimes I think we're so all over the place and trying to do everything at once. So if you're setting kind of like a theme for the day, it definitely helps.
Rosetta, I'm going to unmute you. Okay, I saw you. Hold on. Go ahead, honey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if this was asked. My phone was going in and out a ton, so I apologize if it's a repeat question. But I get a lot of new coaches that when they sign up, you know, we have stories, and our stories are pretty much the foundations of our business, and that's what makes us relatable to who we join or who joins us on either a fitness challenge or as coaches. And a lot of them will say, you know, I don't have a story, or I don't know what my story is. Do you have any tips on how they can build their story or kind of brainstorm on what their story is?
I always kind of like just tell people to think about what inspired them to get started. Like, what was their main reason? You know, you guys, I know in your business, you talk about your why. Like, what was that thing that kind of got you into it? And then sort of go from there. There's actually another coach. She's a branding expert. Her name's Jennifer Kem, Kem. I would look her up. She just did like a free thing called like a brand story challenge. And people, like, she gave them all these different like writing prompts. I think she's got like a lot of free information on her website. So you may want to even send people to her. because I think that your brand is so tied into your story, and that's what makes you unique, the angle that you kind of come from. So definitely check her out, and she may have some really cool exercises for your teams to do.
Awesome. Thank you. Also, I have one more. Do you have any advice or tips on how to overcome the fear, whether it's stepping out of your comfort zone, the fear of being judged? Because as a new, not just a Beachbody coach, but just as an entrepreneur, you're fearful of like coming out and saying, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, because you're going to be judged by probably the people closest to you. So do you have any tips on how to just either block out the negativity, overcome the objections, overcome the fear?
So the first thing I think to understand is that when people place limitations on you, that's reflective of the limitations they place on themselves. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with what they think that you're capable of. It's a complete reflection of what they feel they're capable of. So, when people say you need to be more realistic, I hate that term. Tell people your reality is completely different than my reality. So I think that's one thing to keep in mind. And also get excited about it more than you're afraid of it. So picture your ideal outcome. Get so excited and caught up in visualizing success and imagine it happening in great detail to the point that you're so pumped and you're so excited about what you're doing that the fear just kind of naturally subsides. So shifting that focus. There's a quote that I love, and it's my Soul Cycle teacher actually said it to us. He said, the same mind that creates scary stories is the same mind that creates success stories. So know that, it's all about the mind. Fear is just a thought that we choose. And you can choose to focus on excitement and success just as easily as you can choose to be afraid.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Monique, I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have this huge problem of making other people a priority instead of focusing on myself. I guess to put yourself before other people, I have a hard time doing that.
So I would start by thinking about all of the things that you have lost out on because of that. Even if you have to make a list, what am I giving up by making other people the priority? Am I giving up, time for my business? Am I giving up time for self-care? And, what am I losing out on? And even if you have to write it down, look at that list and use that to kind of propel you into focusing on yourself. And also know that, people will take from you as much as you're willing to give, and there are no limits. They'll just keep taking. So until you draw that line, it's never going to stop. It's completely up to you. People that always say, well, I just don't have time for myself, or I put other people before me. That's a choice. So recognize that you're making that choice consciously, and you can unmake that choice just as consciously. Is that helpful?
Cara has another call at 9. Unfortunately, she can't stay with us for the rest of her life. But so Kim, do you want to say anything? This was your call, so I don't want to overstep you.
Cara, thank you so much. I really appreciate everything you have said. And just to piggyback on what you just said, it's like, unless you take care of yourself, nothing else is going to fall into place. Not your business, not your family, not your relationships, not your friendships, not even your health, your diet, your body, nothing. You need to put yourself first. And it's not a selfish act. It's a necessity. It's the only way to really grow personally and in all aspects of your life. And I learned a lot from this call, and I really do appreciate you taking your time out to talk to us. It was fantastic, and we love you, and we love your books, and thank you.
Thank you so much. It was an honor. I loved talking to all of you. I appreciate you guys having me.
Can we do this once a week? No.
That's my mastermind.
Say goodbye right now.
It starts tomorrow.
I feel like I'm losing a friend right now. We're just never going to see you again. We're parting our ways. But I just want to say thank you too. I'm so excited that Kim reached out to you. Thank you so much, Kim. You did such a great job. And thank you for reaching back out to her and being a part of this, because you're so inspirational. And just so you know, you're changing all of our lives in so many different ways. You're changing lives of our clients and our customers and our coaches. So you're just doing an amazing job. Keep being you. You're just awesome. And thank you so much for getting on the call tonight. We really do appreciate it.
Aw, thank you. Thank you so much. It's very sweet.
Well, go have your other call and go get a glass of champagne. Anyway, last question. How many glasses is okay? That's super important. I want to wait till the end.
I'm so boring. I'm like detoxing this week and next week. So I'm like so boring. This is like my seltzer and my wine glass. I try not to go more than 2 unless it's like a weekend.
Unless it's a weekend.
But you know what the truth is? It's only so that I can do my workouts, because if I drink too much, my workout's going to be shitty. So that's like my major motivation. Guess that's what happens when I'm 35. I can't handle it anymore.
Same here. I feel ya. I have 1 glass champagne. I'm ready for bed. So
Yeah, totally.
I'm already past my bedtime. So go enjoy your call. Thank you again so much.
You,
have
girl.
a great night. And
You too.
we'll be following you. Don't worry.
All right. Keep in
Post that
touch.
picture on Kim's page that you said.
Oh,
What?
Don't forget to post the
Oh,
picture.
I will for sure.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for being on tonight. We love you. Have a great night. Mwah.
Cheers.
Cheers.